it's your girl Horror Queen Cosplay, and I want to talk about my amazing time at this year's Long Island Retro Video Game Expo. Now, as you can tell by the title of the convention, this is a video game based convention focusing on retro video games. It is packed with so many vendors. If you're looking for something, somebody is bound to have it, no matter how obscure it might just be or hard to find. My wallet always cries every year I go to this convention, and thankfully this year I had a little bit more self-control, but that did not stop me from finding some incredible purchases that I do plan on talking about. And of course, this convention has a ton, as far as the eye can see, if not more, of free-to-play retro video games on original consoles, unique consoles, PC, CRTVs, you name it, they've got it. But what makes it so special is the fact that this takes place in the Long Island Cradle of Aviation Museum. Yes, you heard me, spread amongst many actual airplanes and wonderful space exhibits are video games. So you essentially get two museums for the price of one for this convention. I love walking around and checking out the actual exhibits of the museum while also reading the information about whatever game that I'm playing right next to it. Being able to play something in front of actual moon landing gear is incredible. You're always guaranteed to either rediscover an old favorite game or find something that's completely new that you've never even heard of, or something that you've just never had the opportunity to play on its actual original hardware as opposed to an emulator or watching YouTube videos online. So it just makes it extra special and super fun. It's easy to spend hours just playing video games or shopping. There's of course plenty of panels as well, but I'm just such a sucker for all of the free play video games. You are guaranteed to be entertained, and since there's so many and it's such an expansive museum, there's always something open. Sometimes at regular conventions, it can definitely feel exhausting when you go into the free-to-play video game room on a Saturday at the height of the convention and it feels incredibly packed. However, since all of the video games are spread across the museum, not only is there ample air conditioning, but I never felt particularly crowded. Yes, the dealer's area can get a little bit crowded since it is in much smaller spaces, but that is to be expected when you're trying to morph a convention around a museum as opposed to a traditional convention space. I got to play games with friends, check out titles I, again, had never even heard of, scream when I saw some of my favorites. It's always a delightful convention, and it's relaxing and unique, and is one of the many reasons why I continue to go back. This is actually my third year in a row of coming to this convention, and I cannot recommend it enough if you are able to make the trek out to Long Island. I love these types of conventions, and I love how open it is and how wonderful all the staff members are. All the dealers are often very happy to have conversations with you about whatever game you're looking at and answer any questions you have. It's very easy with something like retro video games or anything of the sort that has a lot of history and a lot of older fans who experienced, PlayStation 2 as it came out, or PlayStation 1 or the Sega Genesis when it came out. I know some of you just rolled your eyes about me calling the PlayStation 2 older, but trust me, I get it. I got a Wii the Christmas that it came out. God bless my mother for waiting outside in the cold Chicago air outside of Circuit City at 2 a.m. So trust me, I understand the struggle, and I also constantly get to sit there and go, wow, I feel old that this is considered retro. But that's part of the fun, is seeing all of these old titles and just history. You're filled with history, not just with the airplanes, but also of video games, and I love it. And it's open. It's very friendly to people who are newer to retro video games, who maybe have only played modern titles and never looked back at older ones. Families bringing their kids to get them excited about these kinds of games. Just, it's a great way to learn and get into the hobby. It's easy for these sorts of places to feel abrasive or gatekeepy, and Long Island Retro Video Game Expo does a really good job of opening its doors not just to long-time hardcore retro gaming fans, but also people who are curious and maybe just starting to get into looking at older titles, or, oh, I remember playing with a DS when I was a kid. Wow, look at this! It's really refreshing how it caters to everybody. Lovely, and for the most part. And of course, like I said, there's panels about history of games and so much for you to do. I, of course, as a cosplayer, focused my convention time around the cosplay aspect. I made 2 new costumes for this convention, both outfits using materials entirely on hand, so they were really great stash busters, as we call them, and great for my wallet, especially considering the fact that I knew I would be buying some games while I was here. The first up I did was Adia's performer outfit from Bravely Default. Bravely Default is one of my favorite titles that came out on the Nintendo DS, and when it first came out I spent hours on it. I still never technically beat the final boss, but I've been replaying the game recently when I decided to make this costume, and it's been really refreshing rediscovering a game I haven't played in over 10 years. It's special. Oftentimes when people who are newer to cosplay ask me, what should I start with? What should I start cosplaying? What project should I take on? I always say, pick something that means something to you. It feels incredibly satisfying to cosplay something that really, really means a lot to you. A game that you loved as a kid, or that sparked your joy of video games, or you just spent hours on and really enjoyed. I've cosplayed Adia before, but again, that was like 10 years ago when I was in college. And I had a wig that I had commissioned from another cosplayer. It was a free commission through like a Facebook or Instagram contest so long ago. I honestly can't even begin to dig up the original cosplayer's username. If I do find it, I will post it below right here. But I've had this wig for a while, and I wanted an excuse to reuse it again. It's beautifully styled, so why not figure out a reason to re-wear it? And of course, I have so much satin fabric laying around and beautiful trims. This particular design worked out great for me, and another excuse to wear a custom-made hoop skirt that I had made for a Sakizo cosplay ages ago. Link below for how I made that particular costume. It was a very nice and simple side project in between working on larger stuff, and was fairly comfortable to wear, even though I was a massive cupcake and definitely was a problem in some of the more crowded areas of the con, but that's to be expected. I felt super cute in it, and it was great to talk to people who recognized the game and said to me, wow, I haven't thought of that game in years. That's honestly one of the best things about cosplaying at a convention, is talking to other people who also enjoy the same thing that you do. And my Sunday costume was Daniela from Haunting Ground. I recently got to actually purchase and play the original title of Haunting Ground earlier this year and have fallen in love. I'm such a sucker for Capcom survival horror. It's got a lot of cool character designs in it. It is just a fascinating game overall, and was actually really fun to play. Daniela is totally up my alley in terms of a villainous female character. We love a murder lesbian. I believe in women's rights as well as women's wrongs, was my catchphrase in that outfit. I pulled together scrap fabric from several costumes. Tragically, I didn't have enough each fabric to match the jacket to the skirt, but I think it all worked out well in the end, and again was relatively comfortable and easy to wear. I got comfy shoes, and it was perfect on Sunday for me to be able to actually do some shopping in and bob and weave through some of the booths to hunt down some gaming deals. Now, that not only was this my third year in a row of attending Long Island Retro Video Game Expo, but this was also my third year of being a cosplay guest judge. Yes, I helped judge two of the cosplay competitions that they offer at Long Island Retro Video Game Expo. The main adult competition on Saturday and the children's only competition on Sunday. The Saturday competition is a little bit different than a traditional cosplay competition. Most cosplay competitions, especially ones at anime conventions, when you look at craftsmanship only competitions, you will get a pre-judging time slot where you get 5 minutes in a room alone with the judges to talk about how you made your costume. And most of these competitions require you to have made 70% or more of your cosplay. However, for Long Island Retro Video Game Expo, since this is a much smaller convention, it's got a lot of looser rules. Essentially, anybody can enter, whether you've bought your costume, you've thrifted and modified pieces, or you've fully made your costume. We don't bar any entrance based upon that. However, we still do some prejudging and do select our winners primarily based upon craftsmanship or how you built your costume or how you edited things, as opposed to a just simply bought costume. However, judges' awards do also exist. The way that the award system was laid out was a first, second, and third with 3 judges' awards. Judges' awards are one of my favorite things to pick out and give out because they're just like honorable mentions that are personal to that judge. Something that they want to personally highlight, whether it's somebody cosplaying from something that they really love and never see, or a little highlight of the judge being impressed by something extra special that that person did. They're just really, really fun to give out. So what we did was have all the contestants line up 30 minutes or more before the competition started, and we split the line into 3s. Each third was taken by one of the judges, where we would talk to each contestant one-on-one in line and ask them questions about their costume, take notes, like any traditional prejudging, and at the very end of it, we would confer our notes together. Then, during the actual competition show itself, each contestant would get pulled out one by one. A little pre-info was read out loud by our amazing announcer Rizaki, who is also the head of the cosplay department, an absolute gem, an incredible role model for the cosplay community. Any information that they had filled out on their forms upon sign up about maybe a highlight on how they made their costume, why they cosplayed that character. And then the judges would get to ask the contestant a question or two, either just a legitimate question on how they made something, or the judge that had judged them one-on-one would say, hey, please tell everybody about how you made your helmet. I think it was really interesting. I want everybody to hear that. Or even just say, can you give us your best Mario impression? Everybody who went on stage was, of course, incredibly passionate and happy to be there. And it brings a tear to my eye to see so many people who came on that it was like their first costume or their first thing that they made, or they tried something new. That's one of the many, many things I love about cosplay competitions and judging competitions. Just gives me the warm fuzzies to see everybody's talent and happiness and community, and it also frankly inspires me too. When I got home on Sunday, if I wasn't so bone tired from how much fun I had at the convention and all the travel, I probably would have just run to my sewing machine immediately. My other judges were Cozy Monkey Cosplay, a longtime friend of mine, and Stardust Megu, who is an incredibly talented cosplayer that can frankly do just about anything. I will be posting their socials below as well. Such a wonderful competition, and again, one of my favorites to judge because people are so incredibly creative. Not that any cosplay competition is devoid of creativity, but when you open up a competition to be a little bit looser in who can enter, you see some really interesting stuff in how people will modify garments or do things a little bit differently. Unfortunately, as you can tell, I did not film any content of the actual cosplay competition because I was so focused on the physical judging aspect of it. I will be linking a recording of the competition below when somebody else does pop one up on YouTube, so keep an eye out below for that because I want you guys to be able to see some of the cool cosplayers that were there. And finally, for Sunday with the kids cosplay competition, it's the same but a lot looser since they are kids. These are 13 years and younger. We don't do any sort of prejudging, but any kid can enter any costume. Obviously, you know, their Spirit Halloween costume or something that they made from scratch. Obviously, the awards were focusing more on kids that made some element of their costume or had, you know, some extra boost of creativity. We had first, second, and third, as well as a singular honorable mention judges award. And what we would do is we would call the kids up to the stage and ask them a couple questions about their costume and have them tell us about how they put it together or why they decide to dress as a character. They were so cute. Cosplay's future has never looked so bright. I was incredibly impressed. There was a kid who did a pyro cosplay from, what was it, Team Fortress 2, and they made the flamethrower entirely out of cardboard and it moved. Oh my gosh. I sat there and like clutched my pearls for a moment going, oh my, I feel threatened, but also incredibly impressed by the youths. It's such an honor to be able to continuously come back for this convention, to be able to judge and bring and highlight some incredible talent within the community. I just wish we could give away more awards. Always feels like that whenever you judge a competition. There's never enough awards for all of the incredible costumes there. And thank you to everybody who participated. It takes so much courage to go up there on stage and show off your work, whether again you bought your costume, you made it, or you modified it. The confidence to get up on stage and be like, heck yeah, this is my favorite character and I want to dance around on stage and show it off. I love it. It's so wonderful. As much as I love giant conventions, going to smaller and unique events like these and immersing myself within the community is so refreshing. It's such a lovely palate cleanser and a reminder as to why I cosplay, a refresher of just energy and inspiration, a little bit of motivation. Ooh, I want to make something like that. Ooh, I'm inspired. Ooh, I want to go to my sewing machine. As well as, like I said, rediscovering video games that I love, sharing my love with other fans, and just embracing a weekend amongst other people who love video games. Before I finish up, I do want to share some of the things I bought. I was a lot kinder to my wallet this year than last year. Last year, I walked away with a giant stack of video games, so I had to be kinder to myself. The only console games I bought were 2 PS3 games of Dragon Age Origins and BioShock 2. Yes, I played these games each a million times. I own them on PC. I own BioShock on every single other console. I just didn't have a physical copy for my PlayStation 3, and I have a shelf in my apartment that is entirely BioShock themed, and to see a PS3 copy of BioShock 1 and Infinite, but to not see one of 2, it just made my shelf look sad, so it's a little bit nicer. Same thing with Dragon Age Origins. I have physical copies of 2 and Inquisition, but I didn't have one of Origins. It was something I only owned on the PC, so just nice little cheap additions for me to round out my physical collection. The main thing I was searching for was stuff for my Game Boy Advance. There's not a lot of really great accessories for storing and carrying the cartridges of the Game Boy Advance that are easy to at least find online. Yes, eBay exists, but a lot of the cases that I would find online were either too expensive or just didn't really tickle my fancy. So I was on the hunt for something, and I found this cutie. I'm finally ready for Brat Summer, and the summer's pretty much over. It's a tiny little purse that's technically for a Nintendo DS, but it works perfectly for my Game Boy Advance, as well as a bunch of cartridges, the Rose Alan Wake 2 charm was just added by me because it's cute. So it perfectly holds a bunch of stuff. Doesn't hold every single game I own, but it holds it well, so it makes me happy. And I wanted to find 2 specific Game Boy Advance games while I was there, and I found them. I was so thankful. I found Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I've recently been getting more into the Kingdom Hearts series. I play a different Kingdom Hearts game every year in December on my Twitch streams as part of charity streams for the American Heart Association. I was told recently that Chain of Memories exists on the Game Boy and is one of the better ways of playing this game. Playing the card system on the PC was not fun, so... And I saw previews of the pixel art, and it just looked really cute. I got it for 20 bucks, so heck yeah. My big splurge was finding Max Payne on the Game Boy Advance. I was hunting for this. Yes, I own Max Payne on PlayStation. I own it on PC. I'm sure it's gonna be janky as heck, but I don't care. I love the Remedy games. All the way from Alan Wake 2 to Max Payne, so just finding this was super fun and special, and I've just been really enjoying finding unconventional stuff and ports for the Game Boy Advance recently. I picked up a port of the original Doom for the Game Boy Advance, and when I was buying it, I was asked, why are you doing this? There's plenty of other better ways to play this game, and I said, I don't care. I want to play Max Payne on my pink Game Boy Advance SP. Because I can. It's the little things. Like, this is why I do retro gaming collection, is not to collect every single game out there, but to collect stuff that means a lot to me, whether other people enjoy it or not. As long as it makes me happy, that's what matters. And that's the beauty about going to conventions like Long Island Retro Video Game Expo. You just get to delight in things that you don't get to play or see often, discover new things, read up on pieces of gaming history. I keep saying I love it, but it's true. I love smaller conventions like this that are special and full of heart and uniqueness. Cannot recommend it enough. Like I said, if you are close or can travel to Long Island in August for this particular convention, thank you again to all of the incredible staff members, especially y'all in the cosplay department. Thank you to everybody who entered in the cosplay competitions, who complimented my cosplays, and who stayed and watched this video. Did you also go to Long Island Retro Video Game Expo? If so, what did you buy? Are you thinking about attending Long Island Retro Video Game Expo? Do you also own a copy of Max Payne for the Game Boy Advance? Did you also cry and suffer playing Bravely Default because, dear lord, the grind is insane, but the nostalgia is stronger? Thank you so much for watching this video. I love doing these little videos post-convention, and I was a lot better at filming B-roll this time than I was at some of my other conventions this year. Hopefully I will see you guys soon, whether it be for another convention-related video or some silly little video of me rambling about some silly little video game. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye, cuties!